locations and different business sectors of our country. FLOW is the oldest women's chamber of commerce in South Asia. Today, FLOW is a collective voice of 8,000 businesswomen, entrepreneurs, professionals, and the like across India, as well as the voice of those women whose lives we have impacted directly and indirectly over the decades. YPO had a head start on us from 1950, and today at 30,000 members from around the world. But from within this network, the YPO Global Family Business Network of 5,000 members have been invited to join us today in the first of our series of Family, Business, and Governance. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our past president, Abha Dalmia ji, as the co-founder of FLOW, FLOW past president, Kavita Chandran, Vinita Singhania, Alka Jalan, and FLOW Ludhiana past chair, Divya Oswal, as well as, of course, past president Malvika Rai. Mr. Vishesh Chandyo, CEO, Grant Thornton, India, will moderate the panel discussion. Grant Thornton, India, a member of the Grant Thornton International, is one of the largest fully integrated assurance, tax, and advisory firm in the country. I'm happy to mention here that we also have 3 YPO members amongst this panel today. FLOW past president Kavita Chandran, FLOW past president Malvika Rai, and our very own moderator, Mr. Vishesh Chandyo. Ladies and gentlemen, family businesses are the oldest and the most prevalent form of business ownership, thereby forming a significant part of our Indian economy. Family business cultures are stronger than other business cultures because the values on which they are built are different. They are more durable, more powerful, and more meaningful to the organization. In the words of John L. Ward, thought leader on strategic management, business leadership, and family enterprise continuity. India ranks 3rd globally in terms of the number of family-owned businesses with 111 companies, followed closely by China with 115 firms, and the United States with 121 firms, according to Credit Suisse Research Institute. This report also states that women, on an average, constitute 15% members on the board and 13% on management teams in the Indian family businesses, as compared to 21% and 24% across the globe, respectively. The most central of these strengths is the ability to foment a value-driven culture, something that comes to family business more naturally due to a shared sense of history, vision, and purpose, as well as a shared legacy. This dialogue will explore the leadership, succession, management, family, and personal issues found in family-owned and managed businesses. I'm sure this session will equip us to better understand the management concepts and techniques for meeting the distinct challenges in managing successful and growing family businesses in the country today. Thank you very much. Namaste. Malvika. Have we lost Malvika?
Oh, no, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, they muted me, so I went out.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Just give me a second and I will have it ready. Good afternoon, past presidents, governing council members, members of FICCI Ladies Organization, YPO Global Family Business Network, and YPO Gold South Asia Regional Chapter. Friends, this is a topic very close to my heart. And so when Janvi asked me if I would like to do something in a year, I told her I would like to do a series on family business. Since a lot of our members come from this background, I believe this topic is of relevance and one in which we can all learn from each other's experiences. In my opinion, women play a very vital role, whether they are working in business, doing philanthropy, or working as a housewife. In each of the situations, they're playing a dual role, working plus keeping the family together. Who in your family do you look up to when it comes to encouraging people, family relationships and providing a bridge between family and business? Who in your family helps in communication among family members and encourage family get-togethers? Who is often portrayed as the glue that keeps the family together and embodies a spirit of cooperation and unconditional support? I will call all women CEOs, Chief Emotional Officers, because they are the link between generations, between parents and their children, between siblings and the family. They clearly play a multifaceted role. We have amongst us examples of Neeta Ambani, Swati Piramal, Rashmi Birla, who have been the backbone to the family and have showed the way how we can play both these roles and do it successfully. I come from a family business of 3 generations, and today both my daughters and my son are working together. Since the beginning, both my husband and Anil and me naturally felt that there would be no distinctions between the 2 daughters and son, and today all 3 are equal partners at work. Most families go through separations, some very smoothly, some bitter, which can take years to resolve. In 2000, our family also went through the same. It was without a doubt a difficult time. But one thing I learned at the time was the importance of communication within our family and in particular with my sister-in-law. Because of this open communication, we have not only restored our relationship, but also have become good friends over time. Today, we have amongst us 5 remarkable flow members who have come from different families, and they will be giving their perspectives in family governance in their family business. We have Abba Dalmia, past president Flow, who comes from 4-generation family business. Kavita Chandran, past president from Coimbatore, and also a member of the YPO Global Family Business Network. Alka Jalan, coming from patriarchal family from Calcutta. Vinita Ji from Delhi, from the Singhania family. And Divya from Ludhiana, from the Oswal family. Today, we have them in conversation with Vishesh Chandyok, who is the CEO of Grant Thornton India. He's also the past chair of YPO Delhi and the past chair of YPO Global Family Business Network for South Asia. While Vishesh is the 3rd generation in the business of accounting and consulting, he considers himself to be the first generation entrepreneur. Vishesh works closely with his GT private client team that helps family set up, manage their family offices, and is personally one of the foremost commentators on the subject of family business governance. Thank you, Vishesh. Really, we couldn't have asked for anyone better. Before I hand over the mic to him, I would like to say that we have about half an hour for the panel discussion. And after that, we will take some questions, followed by the concluding remarks by Janvi and a vote of thanks by Rekha Lahoti. Please put your questions in the chat. I will be happy to ask questions to Vishesh or the panelists, whoever you direct your questions to. Over to you, Vishesh.
Thank you very much, Malvika, and thank you very much, Janavi. We have a wonderful panel. It's great to be back amongst all of you. I remember last time I was with you was with Vikram and Arjun Oberoi at the Trident in Gurgaon. And once before, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we'd spoken on this subject itself, along with Ashish Bharatram and Anil Sanani. So wonderful to be back with all of you. I think my objective today is to actually speak to this awesome panel that Malvika has put together and give you all some ideas. I would suggest that your objective today should be to pick one of those ideas and think more about that. When you leave this panel, you're investing an hour. You attend many webinars, but what is that one thing you take out of it that you can think more about and perhaps consider making a difference? I put together some slides to open the subject. So before I go to the panel, maybe I'll just quickly introduce the subject with these slides. If you bear with me a minute, I shall put up the slides. Right. So really, as I said, the subject today is governance of the family and the family business. We are going to get the woman's perspective on that subject. But introducing the subject, where does this what's the genesis of the family and the family business coming together? The genesis really is the value systems of the family and the value systems of the business are quite different. They are not just different, they're actually diametrically opposed to each other. Families, for example, are inward looking. Businesses have to be outward looking. Families are based on emotions, businesses work on tasks. Families, for example, have lifetime, I'm not going to go through all of them, but have lifetime membership, right? Once you're born in a family, you're always a part of that family. A business has to have more of a performance orientation. You have to perform or, you're asked to leave. Families intrinsically, therefore, are quite insular generally and averse to change. Businesses, on the other hand, have to constantly keep evolving, changing to keep up with the times. So that pace is quite different. And when that family and the business come together, there is inherent conflict. At Grant Thornton, we believe that you need to address this subject holistically. You can't address one aspect. For example, succession goes along with retirement. You can't plan succession unless someone in a family business probably also considers their retirement. When that happens, you have to think about who is suitable, how you groom somebody to come into business. So really, we put that together in what we call our 12-factor framework, which is on the screen right now. And really, these are the 12 factors that you got to address. So let me quickly I will talk about some of these 12 factors and how they interplay briefly, but I think what's important is this quote from Stephen Covey. Really, why is this so important and what is so important? And I think really what he says is the core of a family is what is changeless, what is always going to be there, that shared vision and values. And you bring it to life by, at the very least, writing a family mission statement. What will your family be 5 years, 10 years out? Why are you a family? And what distinguishes your family from any other family? And what may be similar to other families, right? And that's what gives it, the starting point, the expression, of actually, coming together, staying together. So going forward, as I said, I'll pick this, two of those 12 factors at a time very briefly to just set the context. And when you consider succession and retirement planning, and of course, we use cartoons to describe this subject, and it may not be that funny for all of you, but I think when you look at succession planning on the left, there are, we live in a world of assumptions. There's an assumption that the kids will, join the business, and that assumption is often wrong. No one's ever talked to the kids, what their plans are. At least that used to be the case. I think on the right, if you look at it, people haven't thought about leaving, and the older generation perpetually, hasn't thought about other hobbies, other things they will do, and therefore never leave. And therefore, those two things, conflict. Then if you think about bringing family members into the business, or actually, family members that choose not to come into the business on the left and the right, again, I think when family members look to come into the business, there is lack of clarity of role, lack of clarity of how, who's in control. The new generation comes in and thinks about changing things, doing things their way. They've got new energy, new blood. The old generation wants to preserve what was there. And that's what creates the conflict. And, again, on the right-hand side, even though all the, kids don't have the same capabilities, very often, families want to keep quiet about that and push all of them into the business, right? When you think about remuneration planning or ownership of shares, and again, these two cartoons here, on the left, the father talking to the son, son, I don't pay you what you're worth because it's all yours anyway. Kids are, family members who join the business are either paid too much or they're paid too little. They're never, very rarely are they paid, the benchmark compensation. On the right-hand side, again, families generally consider fair being equal. So let's leave equal shares to everybody. That may not be the best answer for the business. The person who runs the business may need control versus, somebody who's not in the business. Again, if you look at, rewarding non-family executives or indeed resolving conflict, one of the biggest issues where family businesses haven't been able to, graduate and keep up is the lack of ability to develop a strong management team, whether that management team is from the family or outside. And if you see in this cartoon on the left, clearly, the family and the non-family is treated differently. Look, with just where they sit on that table, right? As you can see on the right-hand side, is the big issue about sibling rivalry. Siblings can be a great team because they are diametrically opposed to each other, but very rarely have the parents let them realize how to resolve conflicts amongst themselves. Siblings, were never allowed to solve conflicts within them, and therefore, being diametrically opposed to each other very often, they clash because they are different and don't know how to resolve conflicts. I think again, whilst every penny matters to families and to family businesses, they're generally very frugal with their money. At the same time, they miss the obvious. They keep spending time running the business, doing the tasks, but never think about how do you preserve the wealth that's being created, whatever that is. So it's always about making more versus whatever we've made. Have we thought enough about how to preserve this, and what if things get into trouble? And we did a survey along with IIM Ahmedabad at Grant Thornton, and the question really was, around the subject that almost all the wealth of family businesses tends to be in that main business. And if you see here, 61% of people were really concerned about that subject, that a majority of my wealth is locked in that one business. 23% of people had nightmares about that subject. So 84% of people were really concerned. So they know that a majority of their wealth is in one business. They continue to work on growing that one business versus securing, diversifying, and looking at other aspects. And I think, really what I consider, in this decade, from 2020 to 2030, I see, the death of the large owner-managed businesses, and I see the evolution of large family offices instead. So instead of a family business, you will have a family office. Many trends that are driving that change. I'm not going to go through those trends, but that definitely is something that I see and we see at Grant Thornton happening when we look out at 2030. And really, as I said, it's going to be the birth of that large single family office that will come in. So instead of the family, just the family business, the family office will look at managing the family concierge lifestyle, managing the family investments, including investment in whatever that main business is, the compliance, reporting, onshore, offshore, second residence kind of things for the family. And then, of course, the most important, the family governance, mentorship of the next generation, family constitution, and those sort of aspects. So that's really the sort of structure that's on the screen at the moment of how we design and look at family offices. Again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through that, but I think one of the things that families are using today to look at succession, think about the future, is to set up trusts instead of leaving the holding in various holding companies and otherwise. Some of you will be familiar with this, some not, but you basically settle your property into a trust through a deed, having very clear beneficiaries. And now is not the time, but at some stage, I would very much suggest a more detailed conversation on this subject. Again, sounds simple, and just to conclude, some of those things would sound familiar to you. The issues in family businesses are often the same, but the answers are never the same. I think you have to evolve your own answer. You can't, take your children, let's go talk to someone and adopt what they've done. It has to come from everybody, and people have to own that. And I'll finish with this. Really, I think it's great to have a family. It's great to have a family business. But we say, success is relative. The more success the family business achieves, you will have more relatives who want to associate with you. So I'll stop with that, and let's talk to that amazing panel we have. So if we can perhaps start with a quick introduction to each of the panelists, so that the audience understands the panel better. And therefore, if I could request, we'll start with Mrs. Singhania. Ms. Singhania, if you could just tell us a little bit about your business, the founder, who's currently running the business, which generations are involved, a little bit about the scale of the business, people, revenues, market cap, and your role within that business. So we start with Mrs. Singhania, and then I'll come over to Kavita. Mrs. Singhania. I will unmute you. Right.
I'll do it.
Okay.
A very good evening to you all. It's very pleasantly surprised that Malvika roped me in for this kind of a panel discussions. And I love the way Videsh has said about the family and the business and the concept, how it should be run and how it should be looked at. So I would like to give my brief for this. Maybe if I fumble a little bit, just pardon me because we are not used to this kind of thing. But otherwise, I'm very happy to say that I very proudly belong to JK organization, which is a well-established business house for last 135 years old business house. And I stepped into my business after a sudden demise of my husband over 30 years. And he was amongst the fourth generation working in the family business. I have two sons, Anshuman and Srivats, and they are both settled in the family business. One is in tire and one is in cement. The group combined business turnover is around 30,000 crore of rupees. And currently we are employing around 50,000 of people. I directly look after JK Lakshmi Cement as a vice chairman of that company. And my cement capacity today is hovering around 13.5 million tons. And my turnover today, as on today, is 4,500 crores. And we have a lot of expansion plans which are going on. So one feels very satisfied, though cement business is not for women. This is, we say it's more man oriented, but still we chose to be in this kind of a business. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vinita ji. I think you had to suddenly step into your business, but you're clearly one of the most respected business leaders who's made a mark of that difficult situation. Thank you for the introduction. Kavita, if I may come to you, if you could introduce yourself and give a similar background.
Yes, Visesh. So Premier Mills was started in 1949 by my grandfather, V.N. Ramachandran, and his brother. It started as a spinning mill, and then under my dad, it grew into a few spinning mills, a composite mill with weaving, processing, printing of fabrics, an electronics company, and a bed linen company with its own processing, weaving, and made-ups. This was run by my father and his cousin. We don't have a system of joint family businesses. And at some point, usually when the children come into the business, the brothers separate. And this was done very amicably. And Premier Mills Group is now a 1,400 crore company. And we have more than 5,000 employees, and at least 90% of them are women. My sister and me inherit my father's business. She looks after the spinning mill and a bed linen company, and me, the spinning mill and the electronics business. I started a lingerie manufacturing company in 2007, which I exited in 2012. I then jumped into running the spinning mill, and at that point, the electronics business was run by my husband. When I got divorced in 2017, I started looking after the electronics business. And Premier Evolvix, apart from manufacturing textile testing equipment, also makes gantries for the automobile component sector. I have two children. Dia is 25 and is in New York and runs her own digital marketing startup. And Arman is 23 and works with Amazon in Palo Alto.
Thank you so much, Kavita. Again, very similar, had to step into a business because of her personal situation. But what's amazing is a business led by a woman that employs 90% women. Isn't that remarkable? In India, a business led by a woman and 90% women are the employees. Aspirational for quite a few of us. Let's move on, and Divya Oswal, yourself, and perhaps if anybody who's not speaking could just mute their lines. I will then come to Abaji after that for the introduction. So, Divya.
Thank you so much, Vishesh, and a very good evening to everyone. Well, to tell you a bit about myself, I belong to a business family from Bhopal, which is into agriculture and real estate. I got married in 2001 into this coveted business family in Ludhiana. Oswals have a legacy of over a century into spinning and textiles. We are fourth generation family business. The primary business is manufacturing of premium luxury brand woolens and garments. There are brands like Gadoni that we produce, and there are value brands like Casablanca, Casa, Som. They all fall under the company Oswal Knit India Limited. Oswal Grandeur. Malwa Industries is the denim manufacturing vertical. Around 4 years back, I started my own company by the name of Oswal Educare Private Limited. It currently undertakes educational ventures in after-school learning space. JI American Learning Center, the Articulate Leaders Club, Polyglots, our foreign language center, STEM programs, many domestic and international collaborations are amongst a few of its projects. We touch about 300 students annually, give or take, and I can proudly say that we've created a niche for quality learning amongst children for all ages. Talking about the family business per se, I got married into a situation that had its own unique dichotomy. I do belong to a family with a legacy of that many number of years, but which comes with a certain set of value system and a mold in which women belong per se. But still, whenever I talk about my family business or whenever I think about myself being the daughter-in-law of a family with such legacy, I can only think of this one legendary person who created it all from scratch. And that would be my grandfather-in-law, late Sri Lala Vidyasagarji Oswal. I have been fortunate enough to have spent time with him, short though, just about 5 years, but enough to understand his extraordinary nomenclature. He did create a certain legacy, passed it on to the generations, but it's, I guess, his value system that we truly inherited. That's me. Thank you, Vishesh.
Thank you, Divya. So, this wonderful legacy, old, somewhat traditional family, and you're an entrepreneur within that family. We'll talk about how those two things, coexist shortly. Abhaji, if I may request you to introduce yourself. I think the challenge today, what we have is we have such an elaborate panel. Just getting everything from them is going to be a challenge within the hour, but I'll try my level best. Abhaji, if you could possibly, again, very briefly, give us similar context. Abha Dalme.
Yes. So a small brief on me. I come from a joint family of Calcutta, the Jilans of Surajmal Nagarmal. I got married very early, but I was into studies. So I completed my graduation after my marriage and fortunately got a distinction. I was an economic student and always studied. My secret is that I studied from the notes of Bimal Jilan, the ex-governor of RBI, who was like a brother to me. After marriage, I stayed for a couple of 8 years in a cement factory in Odisha, which taught me a lot. It gave me a broad perspective how to look after people as a family. It was a big learning experience, and those were the best 8 years of my life. After shifting to Delhi, I didn't want to be alone, staying at home and playing cards and gossiping. So I got into office. I never wanted to do a full-time job because of my in-laws and my children. So, but I was into export and travel and all that, which I did with a lot of my heart. It is in my blood now, and I'm unable to give it up. But our family, now we are the 4th generation of working. It was started by my uncle-in-law, Ramkrishnaji Dalmia, along with my father-in-law, Jaydayalji Dalmia, later joined by Shanti Prasadji Jain, the son-in-law. It was a well-known setup of those times. And just to tell you that at that time, the Punjab National Bank, General Insurance, which now is life insurance, Dalmia Jain Airways, which is now Indian Airlines, belonged to our portfolio. But they were all nationalized in 1950s. The cement and other things stayed on. Then now what? Our family has a diversified portfolio of cement, refractories, granite, electrodes, investments with different parts of the family in different things. Pursue me some nostalgia that I told you about PNB. Our fourth generation of family is there, and with my grandson Aryaman, he has just joined after a stint with Baines. He has joined the investment business. Now, as I earlier said, I believe in the economic independence of women, and that is why I got into forming FLOW, FICCI Ladies Organization with Indu Jain. And now, as you know, we are all here from there, and we have 8,000 members and chapters in every state. I feel women can contribute a lot into the family business, but they can also make or break a business. So one has to be very careful because they play a very important role in a family situation. And I feel there is enough success stories of women. Preeta Reddy and her three sisters of Apollo, Mallika Srinivasan of TFE, Shobna Bhartia, Kiran Majumdar Shaw, Swati Piramal, to mention a few. For me, it has always been first and foremost family, but I have always been interested in business or promoting women to start their own business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dalmia. Amazing.
Another thing I just want to mention, the transportation of Indian business in my 50 years of journey has been absolutely extraordinary. Reliance ranks among one of the world's most valuable companies. Just for fun, my grandson Ariman was telling me less than 30-year-old HDFC Bank is today more valuable than 100-year-old Goldman Sachs. In spite of the business anxiety we see around us, these are reasons to be very optimistic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dalmia, for that introduction. I'm going to come to Mr. Jalan shortly, but I think amazing that you believe in economic independence of women, but still, for you, it's putting family first, not the other way around.
And I don't regret it.
Thank you for those comments. We'll dive deeper into that. Last, but absolutely not the very least, Mr. Jalan, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. Good evening. It's a privilege to be among such empowered women, each one a leader in her own right. I'm a simple Kolkata girl, born and brought up, educated and married, all in the city of joy I call home. I plunged into being a good homemaker with my two sons and a very supportive husband who always encouraged me to follow the dreams and realize my self-worth. A man with a keen business acumen, he has been a worthy president of FICCI. After my parents passed away, as my Shraddhanjali to them, I wanted to convert their spacious home and legacy into a holistic space in the public domain where people from all walks of life could showcase their talent, collaborate, interact, and enrich the discerning audience and themselves. This led to Alka Jalan Foundation. The journey thus began. Few years ago, giving me great sense of satisfaction and joy. The events are varied, ranging from Vedanta, yoga, meditation, education, good health for a lifestyle change, music, theater, dance performances, study forums, literary fests, art exhibitions, and a charitable dispensary. I always support and encourage the less privileged. In the current scenario, we are hosting webinars, reimagining and reinventing by staying positive while sending out the strong message, this too shall pass. Sometimes we want to achieve so much that we forget to acknowledge the little victories along the way. Yet, each win, no matter how small, brings us closer to a larger vision. That's why I remain humbled and privileged and grateful for the opportunity to feed my soul and intellect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jalan. A wonderful story of taking forward the legacy of your parents. We will again come back to that. So let me just go back to Mrs. Singhania to begin. Ms. Singhania, you talked about the tragic sudden event when you had to step into your family business. Can you, for the benefit of the women in this audience, give them some insights on if they are faced with a similar scenario? What are some of the things they should be doing to be better prepared for that sort of eventuality?
Based on what everyone is saying, I can just tell you that based on my experience, or maybe you can call it an advice, uh, uh, for both the family and the women members, I think the first and foremost thing which is necessary is a communication with the family members, and it has to be a transparent communication. Of course, we have to know about the family business, what is happening. One should be aware. I mean, like for us, that we must know as a woman of the family that what is the family business, what is it the other members are doing in the business, what is happening, what is the portfolio of the business which the people whom we are directly contacted are in the way they are doing. So we have to know the business ethics, business portfolio, where the business will be going on. So we have to become very knowledgeable. As you know that today's world, see, I'm talking, when I came, it was 30 years back. And today, if you see around, so huge changes have taken place. Now the young girls who are in our family, or the girls who are coming from different families and getting married into our families, they are coming with some knowledge. They are being exposed to the buzzwords or the big words like BBAs and MBAs and PhDs, and they are being exposed to the dreams or the career which they want to take upon themselves. They are themselves are getting involved into it by attending so many seminars and workshops, or doing small kind of workshops, and getting themselves interacted with the high professionals who can help them to clear their minds and to get themselves. The first thing
Nadia, if I may,
is that communication. Second thing, to my mind, which I feel, is the respect to the for the seniors and the elders in the family. Because if we do not respect, though we cannot communicate with them, because it has to be a genuine, and it has to be, we have to inculcate a mutual trust within ourselves. Why? To the seniors, it has to, nowadays I feel that we have to have a mutual trust with our spouses, with our children. And if you look at it in a different perspective, when we are in the business, if I look at myself and I say, when we are doing the business, then it has to be, we have to respect our professionals, the people who are working for us, and the trust we have to build so that we can take the business forward whatever it is, how small or how big is not the question. We have to have a team kind of a situation which can take the business to the heights, or it can make us go down the drain. So for me, communication, free, transparent, respect, the mutual trust which
Absolutely.
we have to have within ourselves. And I can tell you, uh, it has to be a free flow kind of a communication, a free flow dialogues within the family, with the seniors, with the juniors, why not with our grandchildren also. I feel that. Here I would like to tell you a small thing which we, because our family is very large and we are multi-product manufacturing thing, and in our houses people are not at one location, they are in different locations, living in different areas of Delhi. So what we have thought of doing is, we have made it necessary that every month, Sundays, we all meet, from the senior to the youngest person of our generation or of our family.
Yeah.
We all meet for lunch, and there we very freely expose ourselves. We talk freely. We, mutual discussions, talking about our experiences, maybe talking about our risks, talking about our mishaps, or something good what we have done, so that we can celebrate it together. And we keep on doing a free flow of communication with each other, which helps, to my mind, it helps to, in a very great extent, for a bonding the full family. Because in today's world, everyone, right, I mean, from the eldest to the youngest of the family member who is now studying in class 2 or 3, they are so busy with their lives that they don't have time. So how
Singhania, I'll have to
yes,
request you. So let me just come back to you and move on. So I think your message is quite clear. Basically, increase awareness and push for transparency of communication. If you are not in the business, so that there is good awareness of what's going on. If you were called upon. I think the second thing you talked about was rituals, which enhance communication. Family rituals like meeting on Sundays, which is what your family does. I know it's 4 factions, your husband and 3 other factions of the family. So it's quite a large family, and that's why meeting that often is what keeps up that communication and ensures that genuine respect that you talked about. So let's move on to Kavita Chandra. Kavita, you were also called in quite a similar fashion into one of the, I know you were in business, but the other business you had to suddenly take on unexpectedly, a business you didn't know much about. Anything you would have done differently with this hindsight that you want to share on how you could have been better prepared?
Sure, Visesh. So in 2015, I realized I had to jump into looking after the electronics business. It took me almost a year and a half to step in as managing director. It was a bit of an emotional journey, and I finally stepped in 2017. Looking back, I wish I could have stepped in a little earlier to learn something about the business that I barely knew anything about. And I was a non-engineer, and used the time to build a skill which could have helped me run the business. And I think it would have also helped me heal quicker. Another thing is I joined the Harvard OPM program last year, and the experience that you get in being with 180 business cohorts from different backgrounds, sharing different perspectives on exactly one issue, is quite a valuable form of learning, which I wish I could have experienced a little earlier. Another point is professionalization of the family business. For us, we are hands-on entrepreneurs. That's how it's been in all the 3 generations. So we hesitated whether a CEO role in the electronics business would work or not. And after some deliberation between my dad and me, we made a senior team member who had been with us for 30 years, made him the CEO of the company. So in fact, in 2017, on the same day, I took over as managing director and he became the CEO. And I have to tell you that it's worked brilliantly well. We have the same vision and the company is moving forward very well. And if that had been there earlier, I think it would have been easier transition for me. And looking at succession, I sent my children away to boarding school in Singapore at quite a young age. So having given them the freedom to study abroad since grade 8 or 9, I don't expect them to come back to the family business. I would respect whatever work and life choices they have. However, if they did come back, it would make me very happy. But they're a little too young to take that decision right now. So I just turned 50 and we have quite aggressive, diversified growth plans for the electronics business. I will be bringing them on board post 2025 to understand the business and sit on the board. And I think they can live in another country and still manage and look after the business with the current technologies we have. So I need to wait for another 5 to 7 years to see whether my children would come back to the family.
So you want to enhance the transparency and communication that Mrs. Singhania talked about with your kids. But very quickly, here's a follow-up question for you, Kavita. Very briefly, if you could answer that. If you think about, you talk about professionalizing the business. If your kids were to choose not to join the business, you're still young, 50, but maybe 10 years out, 15 years out. If your kids were to choose not to join the business, do you think you could consider professionalizing the business and passing on the shares of the business to your kids? Or would you be forced to sell the business and give them cash? Very briefly, if you could.
I would definitely go with professionalizing the business, Visish. Professionalizing them and them sitting as shareholders, and it would be professionalized. That's the way I would definitely go.
Thank you. Great. I don't have the chance to get a M&A mandate to sell your business then. I will move on to Divya Oswal. Divya, as I said, you're the entrepreneur in this family with a pretty traditional outlook, but a amazing legacy. Just some simple steps that, having had kids, when kids are older, if women want to start a business, how do you go about, making that transition? How do you go about getting that motivation, getting permission? Where do you get the capital from? Is it your money? Is it from your parents? Do you have to ask your husband? Is it from the family pot? If you could give some suggestions from your own experience, that'll, I think, be valuable for the audience.
Sure. Thanks, Vishesh. So let's look at it from consent point of view and from capital point of view. I think it's very important for women at any age to move with a plan. It's extremely important to know what you want, to have a research and a plan and a project. You need to pitch yourself at any age. You need to treat it professionally. You want to get busy suddenly, it's a fad in the market to go to the factory. I think those things don't really work. So my 2 cents on this honestly would be deal with it extremely professionally, have a profound plan, something that you're convinced of that you really want to do. And when you land that pitch, I see no reason why your family would not agree on it. I completely agree with Mrs. Singhania. You build these families and their legacies on trust. They know that you are giving your heart and soul to that family. When you have a chance to move on and you have a good plan, I do not see a reason for a no consent situation. And that's exactly what happened with me. There's a before and after to my story. It's not like this was the first time 4 years back that I tried to sort of voice out that I wish to work. There was a before that. But in that before period, I genuinely had no plan. I just went and I said that I want to work. And okay, what do you want to do? Something. Now, what's that something? When I'm not convinced of that something, I just want to go sit in the factory and probably browse the net, well, I can do that back at home. These are very self-managed businesses, patriarchal for sure, but then very self-managed. I need to create that niche, and I need to even see whether I fit in the retail and manufacturing sector or not. And thank God I never tried to do that. I'm not cut out for it. I'm clearly not cut out for it. So when I had a plan, when I was completely convinced of it, I went ahead with my pitch. It was perhaps the longest interview of my life, but the most redeeming one with my father-in-law. I had, well, everyone was behind me, but I've been brought up with a very strong value set, So my parents have always taught me that if you can't move together, your machinery is bound to fall off. You need to move ahead together. And I wanted to go ahead with all the consents in place. And that interview, believe me, Vishesh, it had all the questions coming at me. And I gave a gentle pat at my back because I had done my homework well. I knew exactly what the projections would look like. So again, coming back to the 2 cents that I can give, please have a very clear plan and a pitch. Deal with it professionally when you need consent. Capital, I was fortunate to have my own capital. Again, my advice to young entrepreneurs out there would be start thinking a little early about savings, investments, forming your own capital, a very transparent communication with your family as to what's invested where in your name, slightly better clarity about you don't want that as a roadblock. And just in case that is there, I personally, my favorite go-to choice would be family loan. Somehow that traditional way of raising fund works the best in my head. If not, then there are these, of course, beautiful modern methods of raising funds, which any good financial advisor should be able to assist young entrepreneurs out there.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Divya. I think you made it quite clear when you make the choice to want to work, be professional about it, make a business plan versus otherwise. And what you also said very clearly was important to ensure that it's with awareness of everybody, it's well communicated so that you have at the very least awareness, if not also consent is the word you used, and buy-in. And on capital, what you said basically was save, have your own capital, or take a loan from the family. So thank you for those insights. Ms. Dalmia, if I can ask you, Ms. Ava Dalmia, you said you believe in the economic independence of women, but you also said you put family first. Was it always clear to you that family will come first and the business second, and you will never be able to become a full-time entrepreneur? And did you ever see that as a limitation that, I'll have to always put family first, business second, economic independence is important, but I'll never be able to be a full-time entrepreneur like all my competitors around me can be? So, Mrs. Dalmia.
When I got into business, I really didn't think I will do it as a more with my restrictions of family life and all that. But gradually I realized my absence from home, the little bit of difference. My mother-in-law always would want to know when am I coming back. She was very cooperative. I was the first woman going out to work. But I used to feel guilty because they were quite old. And then later on, I indulged in business a lot. But as I told earlier also, because I was into export and I was about to buy a company, I realized I do not want to do it full-time, 24/7. Export keeps you awake in the night and all that. I thought I won't do justice. So maybe that all brought in some restrictions, and I was so involved with the other things in the family and in the social world about starting flow, this, that. So I was very, very busy. So then I think I made a decision that I cannot do it full time.
Right. And did you consider that to be a limitation in any way?
No, I don't think it is a limitation. Nothing stops me from doing anything I want to.
Right. And
I'm always
on, changing track a little bit. Any insight on the role women in large families can play to keep the family together, even though the business may be split
Yes.
and the business may not remain together. I think your husband has seven brothers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the businesses were together at some stage, then they were split.
Yes.
What role
Yes.
can women play to keep that family together?
Women can play a very big role because men do discuss things with women. If not discuss, they know, because being brought up, born and brought up in a business family and married in one, women understand every little details. Sometimes they have more gut sense than the men. They can understand what's going to happen in the future. They are able to guide or tell them if when want to listen, fine, don't want to listen, fine. So I think they can play a very important role. A lot of women in their families, whether it is Kukla Behan or people like other people also, the amount of our grandmother-in-law, she played a very big role between the two brothers. Though she used to stay in Banaras, they built a house for her, but she knew what was happening. A lot of women from the olden times have played a very important role in the family situation. Not only for family matters, but also for their businesses.
Would you be willing to describe that a little bit? How would you do that? With the brothers, with your husband's brothers, or otherwise, is it so organizing social gatherings? Is it clearing the air?
There are some things which the men cannot put forth to the others. Now the situation, everybody takes so much of help, and people like you help out to people. But then the women could also get in and explain a few things which the men cannot explain. They can. I don't say they do, because sometimes they do create little bit of they might create a little bit of problem also, but they can if they are willing and they want, and some of them have done it.
Absolutely, yeah. When there's a need to use the right brain more, definitely women
Yes, exactly, the right brain more. Yes,
play a big role. Thank you, Ms. Davia. I'm afraid in the interest of time, I'll have to go to Mrs. Jalan, and we're nearly out of time. That's always the challenge with having such an impressive panel. Mrs. Jalan, how has philanthropy helped you take forward the legacy of your parents? Could you describe that for others? If they were to consider not necessarily getting into business, not necessarily setting up a commercial venture, how do you go about setting up a philanthropic venture? These days, even big businesses have that 2% mandatory CSR, as you know, right? A lot of companies don't know what to do with it. Is there an opportunity for women and indeed children who don't have the interest to be commercial and to be in business to look at replicating and to learn from your success?
So my advice, I strongly believe in the 3 Ps: positivity, patience, and perseverance. Always goes a long way. And of course, it's important to focus on your mental and physical health. In these trying times, it's useful to engage, interact, and seek inspiration, and try and reimagine and reinvent your own self by doing things you really enjoy the most. Stay strong, committed, and compassionate. And about the legacy, I think of legacy as what will I have done in my lifetime that would have made a difference tomorrow to my family and community. What kind of impact did I make? How did I help needy around me? I don't have any succession plans. As such, I believe in living life for the moment, doing what I enjoy the best of my ability. My children have different commitments, and I would never impose on them. Institutionalizing is far-fetched thought, and even though it may be the best solution, it is not what I foresee. Hopefully, the foundation will either close organically or continue with my children as trustees, with or without the fragrance of a true legacy. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jalan. Malvika, before I come to you, I just wanted to just summarize. I could ask, we're just getting warmed up and we're already at time. I could ask you all questions forever. I would have loved to know whether any of you experienced putting out a family mission, experienced putting out a family constitution, setting up a family office, and dealt with a lot of the issues that I touched on at the beginning. But unfortunately, we are out of time, ladies, probably some gentlemen as well. I think just to summarize, I said, Mrs. Singhania talked about that transparent communication, awareness being critical, and genuine respect for elders. So are you aware of the business? Are you aware of what's going on? Or, you're not critical for you to be, if, God forbid, was to be, a contingency which requires you to take over. Kavita gave terrific advice on learning, and don't wait to learn, don't wait to enroll in a program like the HBS Owners and Professional Managers OPM program. I think that learning is what will give you the tools to be able to professionalize and step up. Divya talked, of course, about making sure there is a plan, a well-written, thought-about proposition and plan, and everybody's consent if you wanted to get into business, to set up a business of your own. Mrs. Dalmia talked about the important role women can play to pull the family together and to say things which the men can't, to resolve differences and otherwise. And of course, last but not the least, Mrs. Jalan gave us a wonderful perspective on how legacy is not only about taking the business forward, but also taking some of the philanthropic and other things the family's been involved with forward. So on that note, I will hand over to Malvika. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you ladies. Thank you very much. Malvika, over to you if you want to take a question, but I know we are at time. Thank you.
So we have run out of time, and I am sure if anybody would want any questions to be put up, we can do it. It's already 5 o'clock. So I think, Vishesh, we should wind up here. We've given a taste to family business, let's put it this way. And as I said, it's going to be a series of them. So maybe we will have more on the topics which we have looked at and go further dive into it better. So with that, and the next one, which I'm looking at it, is the family constitution, because I really believe in the family constitution. So all what everybody had said was basically on the value system, on respect for each other. But what happens is the new generation, or the last, with the new ideas, thoughts coming into it, how you can best utilize it without the family breaking up would be through, I felt, and I really propose that a family constitution is very good because it comes from inside and from all the family members. So I think it ties up very well. So that's the next one which I'm looking at as a workshop. So with that, I will now ask Janvi to give the concluding remarks.
Thank you. 1 second. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vishesh. That was a fascinating session we sat through, and so much of learning has gone in. So my takeaways coming from a women's organization is clear here that women are great leaders. They're able to balance professional and personal leadership skills. They are naturally empathetic, and they value relationships. Women make great leaders because they take the time to listen instead of reacting straight away. They appreciate other people and their viewpoints within the family, within the businesses. So you can see, traditionally, women have always played that vital role. They've always been the pivot of the family. And like most of our eminent panelists have pointed out, they really can make or break the family. And I am also happy to see what we have always known, that women are the natural multitaskers. They are the creative problem solvers, and they help realize their own skills, and they take their family along with them to help their skills, develop their skills and strengths, as women are naturally nurturing. And to end it, I like what Alka Jalanji had mentioned, the 3 Ps. I think all women embody: positivity, patience, and perseverance. Thank you so much. And we hope to have this again on this very interesting session that we've led today. Thank you very much for this.
And now I'll ask Rekha Lauti, our chapter chairperson from YPO Gold South Asia Regional Chapter, to give the vote of thanks.
What an awesome session it has been.
We at YPO Gold South Asia Regional Chapter are very happy to collaborate with FICCI Ladies Organization and open to such partnerships in future as well. Thanks so much to all respected and esteemed panelists, especially to Vishesh for conducting the session so beautifully. I wish it would have gone another 50 minutes. Thanks to Malvika Rai for conceptualizing a fantastic program and making it happen. Special thanks to our dear past presidents, Abhaji and Kavita. Thanks to Flo and YPO management team, but last and not the least, to our dear members. I'm sure they must have, got more motivated and enriched themselves than ever before. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Should we leave? Should we leave?
I just wanted to read the chat once. I think we can sign off.
Yes, we can sign.